Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. So, we are going to wait for Michelle to join and then we're going to be diving in. I think this is the most awkward part about bringing someone on live. Um, let's see. So, if you are there, just say hello so I know you are watching. Okay, so okay, hello, hello.
Hi.
How are
Had
you?
technology problems. Good.
I know
Good.
it takes a minute to, for all the little connections to happen when joining like this, but we
Yeah.
are here.
Let me see what's up with my. Uh, it's coming through here, and let's see. Oh, okay.
I can
Not
hear
sure what's
you.
happening there. Oh, okay. I can hear you now. Okay,
Okay,
good. Hello.
welcome. So I'm super excited to chat with you today and to dive into the topic of visibility and building your confidence around really being seen. Such a juicy topic.
Yes. Um, Really, the important question though is how's Leo?
Oh, Leo's doing good. He's warm, he's inside, and yeah,
Oh,
been doing so good.
okay.
So, so yeah, do you want to just say a little intro about yourself and then we can kind of dive in?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Michelle Wolff, and I've been going into my third year now of coaching and my 23rd year of working with people. My background's been as a therapist and a social worker, and I um, worked with kids, adults, um, little kids, big kids, all kinds of stuff. And then, so I made the switch to coaching because we moved out in the middle of nowhere and it seemed like a good idea. And I'm liking it a whole lot better. Um, I think, I think that's what most people care about. Like, do you know what you're doing? Yes. Yes, I do.
She does. She does. That's one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk to her today, and feature her for our fan feature this week. Last week, so a little backstory. I don't think I really talked about this too much, but I
Yeah.
had a session with Michelle on Saturday, and she's one of my go-tos. So whenever I'm needing energetic support, I don't trust that many people. I'm a Scorpio, so I have trust issues.
Yeah, me too.
But she's one of the people that I really trust. And so I had a session with her Saturday, and we really worked on me grounding and myself. And it had nothing to do with bringing Leo home. But of course, all energy is connected. And, that's the thing that I love so much about energy. And we're going to be talking about specifically confidence and visibility today. But yeah, so we did some energetic things. I worked on bringing my energy home, right? And then a few days later, my cat came home. So, like, so freaking magical. Why I love energy work and also why I
Yeah.
adore her. So,
Well, I'm a Scorpio too, and I feel the same. Like, there's a few people I'll trust to relax enough around to do energy work with, and you're one of them. So, and that's like less than a handful of people. So I feel honored.
Thank you. A gift of a Scorpio, right? We're intense, but you can trust us.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so let's dive into this topic of um, really getting comfortable being seen and allowing yourself to be visible. So, I don't know if there's anything you want to maybe just kind of give us a little intro into the topic.
Well, my interest in this came out of uh, I've done some photography, very little professionally. I've done some family photography for families and at a couple of weddings and some product photography and things like that. But it is one of my favorite things to do. And so I don't remember exactly what happened, but I ran across a string of women who were saying that they weren't putting their work out in the world because they were intimidated by getting headshots for the websites or doing live streams, which are a very effective way to get clients or meet clients, and then doing videos and stuff like that. So their body image issues are their just um, lack of familiarity with being in front of a camera was holding them back. And then my own process of getting past that was pretty painful. Like, I just jumped in and started doing Periscope, and when you're first doing Periscope and no one's following you, you're talking into empty space, and it's
Hmm.
really disorienting. And so, even with all my years of public speaking, training at conferences and things like that, it got me past any fear about speaking in public. But when you are on the video, it's completely different. And so I used to turn off the Periscope thing, and I would just be shaking and sweating and cry and feel terrible and have shame attacks and stuff like that. And I was like, why don't I take, what I love about photography, what I love about live streaming and video, and put that together, and then my other everything underlying my work is story, and what stories are we telling ourselves, and how can we take control of that process and tell others different stories, supportive stories, and put all that together and see, because I feel like the time for women to be really getting their message out there in a big way is long past due. Like, we need to get over ourselves and start getting that information out there. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, like, even if you only impact 10 people, one person, you've made a difference in a life. And that's a big value of mine. Like, if I can make a difference in a life, I'm good. Everything after that is bonus. So I would just want to share and give that to women who are struggling. And the technology piece can be overwhelming, and I could do both, the energy work and demystify the technology.
Yeah, and I think too, like there's so many different layers of also being seen, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes it could be the layer of like actually getting on camera, and that might be a fear. Or,
Right.
as we grow our businesses, there's different layers around being seen. Like I remember when I was a
Yeah.
dietitian, I had no problem like getting up and talking in front of a room, but like actually letting people see my intuitive gifts or to talk about energy or to share my gifts, like that felt really scary. And I mean, even now, I do Facebook Lives all the time, and
Yeah.
I comfortable talking about intuition and my gifts, and there's still
Yeah.
layers of sharing that can be super vulnerable and super edgy for me. And so
Yeah.
it feels important just to, for our watchers to know that there's like, again, like how we do one thing, we do all things. So we're talking about confidence and visibility. And if you're totally comfortable getting on camera, like there could still be areas where you might not be comfortable. So maybe that's emotions for you, or maybe it's owning your
Right.
intuition on a deeper level or something like that.
Yeah. For sure. Anything that triggers, because underlying all of those scenarios is that fear of tribal rejection. And that's a primal human fear. Our humanity, our body remembers that, you know, for millions of years, speaking up literally could get you killed. It could get you cast out of the tribe. There is a body fear of life and death. So anything that we do that squeaks us on the edge of maybe getting rejected from our tribe triggers all that primal DNA stuff and will stop us in our tracks. And that's great. I mean, we want our survival systems to keep us surviving. Except now it isn't like that, but our bodies still think it is. So anything we do, putting ourselves out there, um, saying that we have intuitive gifts, saying that we're charging a fee for our services and how much it is. Anything that might possibly be met with rejection is going to seize us up inside until we get to looking around in those deeper. So whether we've actually experienced that rejection in our lifetime or not, we have that DNA lizard brain part of us that's like, please don't say anything that's going to get us kicked out in the wilderness. Just shut up. So yeah,
Totally.
there's multiple layers.
Yeah, and I know this was one of the things we were working on in my session this past week, but it feels like what's coming to me is also sometimes we have like a comfort zone, right? So like I'll get on live and talk about this, but if I expand to this, like then that fear like kicks in, or I'm comfortable allowing myself enough space to get visible to attract 3 clients, let's say, um, which is
Right.
like barely, meeting your income or not meeting your income goal. But
Mm-hmm.
to allow myself to fully have that support and, be able to attract 5 clients and fully be able to have my bills paid, like the fear wired trip can go off and say like no, and then the fear kicks in. So I don't know if there's anything you want to say about that.
Well, you've helped me with some of this, and part of it is owning the value of what you're offering. So when you start offering in a big way compared to what you're used to, and for some people, that first live stream is going to be the biggest offer they've ever made. And it triggers that sense of, is what I'm offering really valuable enough to um, put out there? And is it good enough? Is it going to be received? Should I, and who am I to offer something like this? I'm no expert, whatever. We won't claim that. And so that's one of the things I've gotten from our sessions is a couple of things. Like sometimes things that come easy to us, we don't value them, which is what a
Mhm.
lot of what it was for me. I think it's just what I do. So then how do you charge for breathing? I'm an expert at breathing, but I don't charge for it. And then just
Maybe we
recognizing that
should start
something that
charging for
comes,
it.
maybe I should,
We make a lot of
uh, some,
money.
something that comes as easy as breathing to me, it has value in the world. And so I had a really hard time making those connections for a while. But until those connections are made, even if we're doing live streaming, and this has been part of my journey, I can live stream and post on Facebook and do Facebook lives and have a website and still not be seen if I'm energetically hiding myself because of what it means to be seen, of what it means to have 3 clients versus 30 clients. Like, what does that mean? And what kind of responsibility comes with that? And am I going to lose all my time? Or are people going to just be inundating me with demands for my attention? And what if I can't meet it? And what if I disappoint them? And then ultimately we circle back to, what if I get kicked out of the tribe and die? That's what it always comes back around to. So, uh, getting through experience and energy work, the understanding that all those things are just stories. that if you get kicked out of your tribe, that sets you free to find a tribe that's more in line with your values and what you're doing. If you get rejected, it's information. That's all it is. Do you need to refine your message, or do you need a different audience, or do you need to be more available or less available? Like, it's interacting with the environment in a way that gives you that information back of what is actually keeping me from being visible.
Hmm. I love that. And I know I personally can relate so much because often, when I've felt like it is this physical limitation, there's usually a much deeper limitation that's happening in my system that
Yeah,
is keeping me
yeah,
from either getting visible or from maybe it is that I'm getting visible, but like I'm not getting the results. And usually, it is that deeper inner piece or that inner survival mechanism, like you are calling it, that
yeah,
is like in lockup or lockdown that is
yeah,
keeping the energy flowing.
yes. And figuring that out, it can't be figured out until you take an action that triggers that story. So you can think about being visible, and you can think about having confidence, and you can think about doing live streams and video and getting your pictures done and stuff like that. And that's one step. But until you actually hire a photographer, or download Periscope, or start watching live streams, or maybe some YouTube instructional videos, and actually turn that camera on, you won't know exactly where that trigger is and exactly what kind of story you're dealing with. So, and we can use technology ignorance as an excuse, right? We can say, well, I don't know how to do the thing, and so I'm just not going to do it because, I just can't do it or whatever. And that's actually not true at all. But when you start actually learning it, then you'll hear those stories start to come up, and you'll know which direction you need to go. Like, is it a survival fear, or is it a don't get too big for your britches fear, or am I an imposter fear? Like, you won't know what those are until you start actually taking action in the world. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. So once someone notices, like, so they start to take action, and then they notice, like, they either have this fear, or maybe they notice they aren't getting the result from the action, right? So sometimes that happens
Yeah.
because I know we have lots of
Yeah.
action takers that have no
Yes.
problem
Yeah.
taking action, like you, right? Like you would get
Right.
on
Yeah. I don't care.
scope,
I'll
like you
do
didn't
it.
care about doing the live, but you were like, okay, why
Yeah.
am I not getting a
Yeah.
response from this? So,
Yes.
what would be
Yeah.
the next step, like once you notice that there is some kind of pattern or fear response happening?
That's when you start to ask yourself what the questions, lots and lots and lots of questions. Like, what would it mean if I was visible? What would it mean to go from one client to 10 clients? And just starting to ask those questions will start to bring your own intuition online, and also help you identify, like, at what point am I freezing up? So I might do a video and feel just fine about it. And then if someone comments on it, I'll feel tension. And what's that
Mm,
about? Like, oh, I was seen, I did a video, but then, oh, actually another human being did see it and they commented on it. Well, now it's real. And so what about that is scary? What about being hidden is preferable to being seen? What about being a failure is more comfortable than being successful? So it's like a spider web of information, that it's like throwing a rock in a pond. You do that video, take that action, and then all these ripples go out, and then you can start to ask the questions that bring it back home, because you're the source of your creation. And so always coming back and saying, okay, at what point do I clench up or seize up? When someone looks at me, or when someone comments on the video, or when someone wants to sign up and I don't act on it, like I don't schedule a call, or and I know people will do that. They just won't respond to the person who wants to schedule a call. And so tracing it backwards, either the results or the lack of results, which is still a result, and tracing it backwards and saying, okay, where do I get uncomfortable? Then where is that in my body? And then what words or symbols or feelings do I feel, am I aware of in this whole big mess of stuff? Sometimes we can find it ourselves, especially if we're skilled at self-reflection, but oftentimes that's when you need to hire a coach, somebody who can say, oh, well, it's really clear to me, and it's not clear to you because you've got, this worldview blinders over your face. Um,
To-
we and the deeper it is, the less we can see it, right? We need to have other people. We need to tell our story of like, I don't know why I'm not getting results. I don't know why I'm not getting clients. I'm doing the things they say to do, but nothing is coming back to me. What is that about? And hiring a client at that point, if you can't find it for yourself, most people can find some little superficial layers of like, oh, my third grade teacher in the school play told me I was an idiot or shamed me or whatever. Well, that's good. That's good information. But often it's way deeper than that. And getting a coach or a therapist or somebody like that with, you know, um, that ability to intuit what's actually going on in your energy, that's the point that can be really helpful and time saving. It's more
right.
efficient that way, actually. Yeah.
What's really coming up to, like, as you're talking is I know a lot of people, like, they will take the action and then they feel
Yeah.
like the fear starts to come up and then they feel like either they did something wrong or um, it's almost like we put ourselves sometimes in, we take the action, the fear comes up, and then so instead of like getting super curious about the fear, we can go into like
Yeah.
punishing ourselves mode or like making ourselves wrong or feeling like we did something wrong or we're not good enough or like
Yes.
going into mindset mode where we're like trying
Yeah.
to fix our mindset. I don't know
Yeah.
if there's
Or,
what to say about that.
well, and another one I see happen is, well, I'm not supposed to. It's so scary and overwhelming, and that means it's not my destiny, or I'm not meant to do this path. I should just go work at an insurance agency or something. And that's not true at all. Um, there's a difference between it's not, this isn't the path for me kind of intuition stuff, and this is the path, but you've got to go through some fear to get there. And that's a real subtle thing too. But our mindset is the games we play, is the stories we'll run to keep ourselves from. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So Stephen Pressfield wrote a book called The War of Art and Turning Pro, where he talks about this resistance, this natural resistance. Whenever you move into an expansion, because your human system is set up to maintain status quo, you trigger all these alarms just naturally, even if you don't have trauma. You trigger all these alarms that say, no, 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 it's better to stay where you are, where it's comfortable. So don't do the thing and let me create some reactions and some stories so that you won't expand. That's just a natural process. And when you understand that, then you can little bit by little bit challenge yourself to, how can I see this differently? How could I see this as a challenge that I can feel good about overcoming rather than some sort of sign from the universe that I'm not supposed to expand in this way? And so when you understand also that it happens to everybody, every single person who wants to grow
Mhm.
experiences this very predictable process of fear, anxiety, shame is a big one, breaking out in the sweat, really not wanting to do the work of getting back in touch with the client who wants to work with you, or making the next video when you're not getting feedback and support from the environment. So when you know that that's going to happen, you are going to trigger stories, it is going to feel like crap, and it's okay because everybody feels like that. And so you
Right.
just got to keep on walking through it. It's normal. It doesn't mean you're defective. It doesn't mean your idea is defective. It doesn't mean you're not destined to go that way. It's what we all do, every single one of us.
hmm It's so funny. It's making me think of the first time that I did a challenge. Um, and
Yeah.
it was called Manifest Your Dream Clients, and it was a 7 day challenge. And I remember the first couple of days I felt so high, like I was so excited and it felt so good. And then like
Yeah.
day three, I was exhausted and my body started to go into physical pain and all of the fear
Yeah.
started and I didn't want to show up.
Right. You're
And
like, this was the worst idea ever.
yeah, like, oh my God, you know, I'm not supposed to be doing this. All of the mind chatter. And I know for myself, my physical body has been one of those ways that kind of like the fear has come up to sabotage me at different times. So feeling
Yeah.
exhausted, you know, so like doing something
Getting
that
headache.
is taking a big step forward and then feeling exhausted or getting sick or um, you know, whatever the thing is. And I think a lot
Yeah.
of intuitives and sensitive entrepreneurs can struggle with that too, where then it feels like you're, you know, because you're tired, it feels like your intuition is telling you, you know, this isn't the thing for you, or you're going to get burnt out if you grow your business or you get visible.
Right.
But the
Yeah.
truth is, you know, like you're saying, it's like if we can get these deeper parts of us on board and feeling safe, then we don't have to play that story of we need to get sick or we need to be exhausted to protect ourselves.
Right. Right. And everybody's got a different way that they do that. So some people will get a migraine or get sick or exhaust or catch a cold. Some people will create relationship turbulence. Some people will create a financial crisis. We'll do all kinds of things to keep from growing and expanding. And so it's interesting that we accept that, say, speaking from personal experience, that you were athletic and then you spent some years doing a whole lot of nothing. So I'm going through this right now. I know that to get my body back on board is going to be a painful experience
Right.
and I'm not going to want to do it. I know I'm not going to want to do it. I don't want to do it right now,
It's
but
like
I want
those
the end result.
days after working out. It's like you're so sore. I did yoga this week and like the next day my abs were
Yeah.
sore.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm so out of shape. So you have that choice, right? In that moment of, oh, my stomach muscles are sore. That must mean I shouldn't do yoga. But we know that that's ridiculous, right? We know that if we keep going, the soreness is the process
It's
of
the
getting stronger.
building. Yeah.
Yeah. The sweats and the fear and the mind chatter is the process of getting stronger. It's no different. And it's interesting, right? The third day, we start gung ho, and around the third day, John Acuff wrote a great book called Finish that talks about this too. And it's no different. Whatever we start, around the third or fourth day, we're going to be like, this was the stupidest idea ever, and I don't think I should do this. If we keep going, we're going to hit another thing at 30, 60, 90, 180 days. This is the same for people moving through addiction and getting sober. 3 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, right around in there. The midpoint of a course of coaching or group coaching or therapy or even taking a class in college, right around the midpoint, whether it's a 3 week course or a 3 month course, or even a 3 year course, right around the midpoint of people want to quit. It's predictable, it's normal. I tell all my group people around the middle, you're going to start finding reasons why you shouldn't show up to the call. You're going to find excuses of like, I think I've gotten everything I'm going to get, blah, 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 blah. But just keep going because that's a lie. It's just so predictable. It's just such human nature. And we understand it with our workouts or our diets or things like that. We just need to generalize that understanding into the internal processes where it's harder to see is no different than building a bicep. It's the same exact process.
I love it.
We're funny. We're funny little humans.
So tell us a little bit about this program that you have that you created.
So putting together all these pieces into See Me sessions it is about that. And I was trying to figure out a way to do it with Skype, and it can be done. You don't end up with photographs, but you have all the tools you need. So it's 3 sessions of intense, like, let's trigger the action. So I'll be giving you homework and actions to take on purpose to trigger the reasons why you're so uncomfortable. And then we can start asking those questions. Okay, where's the discomfort and the disturbance in your system? Where's it in your body? What do you hear is going on? And so it's treating it like an energy session with some mindset work, with some homework that's going to trigger that whole process so that we can work with it. Um, by the end, you should be familiar with why you trip yourself up, why it's uncomfortable. As we go, I'll be teaching the technology so that you can do the action steps. I'm going to assign like a selfie project. So the sessions will be a couple of weeks apart to give you time to, okay, take a selfie and send it to me every single day, and not take us 14 selfies and send me the one that looks the best. Like, take a selfie and send me that one, and then journal. What are you feeling when you click send on that button? And it's only coming to me, and I'll create a Facebook page, a private group and a Periscope private thing where we can, whatever platform people want to use, where I can be their audience and they can practice clicking that go live button and stumbling and stuttering and getting all those nerves out while we work the story and the energetic in the same time so that it gets more comfortable. So when they do have a bigger audience, it won't be so scary. They'll have already gone through all that stuff and have already unwound all those pieces that get in the way of our growth. Does that make
I,
sense?
yeah. So is this a one-on-one or is this a group thing? What's the format?
Ideally, I'd like it to be group because then you can do your broadcast to the group. Um, but because these are often so shame based and body image based, and I haven't done it before, so I don't know how it's going to go. So right now, I'm offering it as a one on one opportunity. Ideally, I'd love to see that move to a group. So potentially we could start a Facebook page for people who are doing one-on-one, and then they could start to practice with people who are also doing one-on-one. So it's kind of slowly moving into a group. That's the part that is still like dynamic and open to where this takes us.
I love
So
it. So if someone's interested, do you want to tell them how they can find you to talk more about this?
yeah, the best way is just go to the website, thatmichellewolff.com, 2 L's, 2 F's. Right on every page of that website is a little link that says book a discovery call, and that will take you directly to a page where you can book a call with me, and we'll get on the phone and talk about what's up, what you think would be helpful, what I can offer, and we'll figure it out from there. And if there are people that already know, like, ooh, I have 5 friends that I think would want to do this, then let's then get in touch with me and let's talk about forming a group because there's a big power in groups, especially when you're challenging yourself to do scary stuff. So we'll
I
be
love
see where the energy wants to go. Yeah.
it. So good. And what I will just say too is, even if you don't have a problem being visible, but you vibe with Michelle, definitely reach out to her because she's amazing and she could pretty much help you with anything.
Thank you.
Whether it's your relationship, opening your heart, whether it is expanding your business to the next level, whatever the thing is, she's your girl. So,
It's all the same, isn't it,
it is.
right? If we're not visible for our business, we're not visible for our relationships either. If we're not intimate with ourselves, we can't be intimate with anything else. So, like you said
Definitely.
earlier, how you do one thing is everything. It's pervasive.
It is. It is. So thank you so much for just having this chat with us today. Do you want to, I can drop it in the comments as well, but do you want to just tell them your Facebook group too? Because you have an awesome Facebook community.
Yes, the Facebook group is Awakening Souls, and that's free. And that's a great place to practice. So people in there are practicing speaking about their intuitive gifts and getting comfortable with other people knowing that they have these gifts and offering card readings and um, exchanging sessions with each other to get comfortable in that group setting with sort of, exposing themselves to the world as an intuitive or an empath. I can never remember sometimes when I do a Facebook search, that group will come up and sometimes it won't. So people can just send me a message or leave a message in the comments, or maybe I can go find the link and drop it in the comments, the direct link, because I don't understand why it's that way. Sometimes you can put Awakening Souls in there and it'll come right up, and other times it won't because Facebook is a mystery. Or people can send me a message, a direct message, or friend me, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm everywhere.
perfect. All right. Well, thank you again so much for just taking time to come and chat with
Yeah.
us.
Thanks for
And
having me. It was fun.
yeah, and if anyone has any questions about the conversation that we had today, about any of the pieces around getting visible or finding your inner fears around getting visible, feel free to drop them in the comments. And Michelle's in this group, so she'll be around. I'll be around to support you with that.
Yeah, I'll come back this afternoon and go through the comments and answer. I see a few questions, but I'll come back later today and answer whatever questions I can. So,
Perfect. All
thank
right, my
you.
have a fabulous
I've
afternoon.
never done this before, so
I know this is the second
how,
time.
how
I feel like it works really easily, and
I love it.
yeah.
I
So,
don't know how to end it, but I
oh,
do love
having
it. Oh, okay.